climate change is real, can we agree on that simple truth? That is my question today, and therefore I ask, as if in legislative session, unanimous consent, that the Committee on Environment and Public Works be discharged from further consideration and the Senate now proceed to Senate Resolution 553. Further, that the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, and the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there an objection?
Mr. President.
Senator from Wisconsin.
Reserving the right to object. I'm down here now for the third time with a smile on my face. I mean, this is humorous. It would be humorous if it weren't so tragic. The good senator from Rhode Island, when he was chairing of the Budget Committee, held hearing after hearing about these enormous costs caused by man-made climate change. What he refuses to acknowledge is the fact that the reaction of this scaremongering, this alarmism, has been somewhere between $6 to $10 trillion is what we've spent globally, trying to hold back the tides. $6 to $10 trillion. The cost he's talking about pale in comparison to that massive, the largest malinvestment in human history. I mean, make no mistakes. The simple resolution, by the way, I don't deny climate change. Climate change is real. It's always changed. It always will. The debate is, to what extent does man cause it? And I would argue an even greater debate would be, what can we do about it? I mean, he's down here, again, scaremongering in an alarmist fashion. Obviously acknowledging that the $6 to $10 trillion we've already wasted in this greatest malinvestment in human history hasn't even made a dent. But I want to point out, I'm glad he talked about measurements, about science, about a long data set. Here's a long data set. These are charts of the Vostok ice core sample. This is about 400-some thousand years of climate history. I don't know how they do it, but they know how to measure different gas percentages in the atmosphere. They can calculate temperature, going back actually more than 800,000 years. This one's 400,000. The most famous data set from this occurred in 1999, Petit et al. But as you can see, this is in Celsius, but these hard to call cycles, but we'll call them cycles, of temperature variation. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in 400,000 years. So approximately 100,000 year cycles. Almost 23 degrees Fahrenheit change in temperature. Now, what the senator from Rhode Island's all concerned about is a little moment in time here. taking a look at charts and blowing them up and doing the hockey stick effect and then freaking out about little minute movements over a geologic time. Now, and and all the climate alarmists do this, they blame it on us, fossil fuels. We weren't burning fossil fuels 400,000 years ago. Somehow, temperatures rose and temperatures declined. 4 times over 400,000 years, almost 23 degrees. That's why I'm not freaked out about this. That's why I'm not a Chicken Little. That's why I oppose a simple resolution that has all kinds of ideas behind it, all kinds of policy implications, all kinds of new proposed malinvestment, trillions of dollars are worth to try and hold back the time. You see this red line underneath here. Not only do they measure temperature over time, they measure CO2 levels over time. No, there's no doubt about it. It tracks very closely with temperature. Within that data set of Pettit et al., not very well publicized, kind of understated, they say, well, this doesn't really mean anything, is the fact that CO2 isn't the leading indicator, it's the lagging indicator. First, temperature rises or falls, and then CO2 either rises or falls, approximately about an 800 to 1,000 year lag. So again, they try and, the climate alarmists try and put this, oh, look, CO2 is up, causing temperature. No, temperatures rose, and then CO2 rose, and there's actually a pretty easy explanation for it. Most CO2 is a trace element in our atmosphere. A trace element, not even a percent, a fraction of a percent. Most CO2 on Earth is locked up in our oceans. So as the temperature rises, probably because of solar activity, wobble in our axis, whatever these macro trends that actually cause climate change, the majority of climate change. As those factors cause temperatures to rise, temperatures in the ocean rise, releasing CO2, and then CO2. It's not the other way around. It's not CO2 went up, causing temperature to increase, temperature increased to cause CO2 to rise. Again, this Vostok ice core sample, these are measurements. This is science. This is a very long data set. It just shows why, again, I don't know exactly to what extent man certainly can't impact the environment. We all want a clean environment. But the extent that man has caused climate change, obviously, we weren't around back here to cause this climate change. Something else is doing it. So again, I just don't freak out about it, and I certainly am not going to subscribe to any resolution that would cause policy here to spend trillions of dollars, misspend, waste trillions of dollars on a fool's errand trying to hold back the tides. So, Mr. President, I object.
The objection is heard.
Mr. President,
Senator from Rhode Island.
just want to make sure it's absolutely clear that that argument is what Republicans have sent to the floor of the United States Senate to question the measurements and the facts of climate change. I would only advise my friend from Wisconsin that he just might want to consider running his argument by the University of Wisconsin before trotting it out on the Senate floor.